Guys, we're super excited to bring you the latest project we've been working on. The Rule of Cars is a course that teaches you how to own and drive luxury cars such as this X6M without losing tens of thousands of dollars per year. Click the link below to find out how you can own and drive your dream luxury cars today. Guys, welcome back to the Desert Road. I'm extremely excited today. We have this awesome brand new 2023 BMW X7 xDrive40i. This is one of the most requested cars to be reviewed on our channel, and we finally have it in front of us. As you can see, this is the very highly controversial new front in this car. BMW is incorporating this new split design across their entire model range. Hopefully not all the cars, but definitely all the upper tier echelon cars are getting this, including the 7 Series. You either love it or hate it. I'm somewhere in between. To me, it looks all right on some of the darker colors. On the lighter colors, to me, it looks out of place. It almost dwarfs some of the proportions on this car because this is a large car, and the way the headlights are proportioned on here, to me, is not the most aesthetically pleasing. I don't know yet how these perform at night. Haven't positioned the headlights themselves closer to the ground. I'm sure there is some benefit to that as well. It's a funky design. It leans more Korean to me than German. So you make your own preference on where you stand with that. Drop us some comments below. Let us know what you think about that. We're very curious to hear your opinion. The one thing where BMW did improve on this front end, they incorporated this radar cruise sensor into the bumper much better than the previous model, where it was kind of it just stuck out more out of place. The grille is still the same size, you know, overly big. It fits the car well because this is a large car again. I really enjoyed the front on the previous X7. I think, to me, the way they had it was BMW's best design across their entire model range. So we'll see how this does. Let's keep walking around the car. These 22s are awesome here. They got the 275s in the front, the 315s in the back. Gorgeous looking BMW wheel. This is not the M Sport package, so as you can see, we have quite a bit of chrome here on the car, so it doesn't have any of the blackout trim that you can option some of these BMWs with. You have the chrome around the windows, the roof rails as well. Overall, just, you know, good looking car from almost any angle. They kept the rear close to the same on here. They just did more of a blackout treatment to some of the lights. You have this chrome strip going across the back here. Looks good overall. BMW did keep the real exhaust outlets here in the back. That's fantastic as well. Gives you some of that real enthusiast kick out here in the back. You guys were able to catch the outside of the car. Now we're gonna jump in, take this bad boy on a ride, and let you know what we think. Let's go. All right, guys, moving into the front of the car. Let's take a seat in here and describe some of these interior features, how it feels, and take her on a drive. First impressions, we have this beautiful cognac leather in here. This is the Sensafin leather, so this is fake leather. Honestly, BMW did a fantastic job with this. If you were not told this isn't real leather, I don't know if anybody could really figure it out. Overall, it's great. All the touch points, like the fake leather wrap right here, is great. Same thing with here. Even something like this panel right here has a little bit of plush to it. So unlike many cars that sometimes cheap out on these bottom panels, this actually feels good to the touch. One thing where it's really not a favorite of mine in any car, this spec is opted with the beige headliner. I personally am never a fan of that. You do have a grab handle here, so pretty cool on the overall. This one comes with the specific matte wood trim, looks fantastic. And of course, we got to talk about the updates to this whole infotainment with the new iDrive. Again, it looks fantastic. All the magic to me in this car is in this redone interior. We're going to power it on, show you through some of the menus, and give you our overall impressions. All right, with this entire refresh here of this interior, some of the design elements were kept the same and others obviously changed. I really liked what BMW, the trend and the direction they're moving to update and freshen up some of these interiors. This curved display is absolutely fantastic. We recently tested and reviewed an M340i with these same updates as well. And overall, I'm a huge fan. Yes, they got rid of the physical buttons that used to be here for the AC controls, and now everything is in the screen. But honestly, you do get used to it, and some of the most important features still remain on the screen here that you can access fairly easily no matter which mode you are in this entire screen. The vents have been changed up a little bit. They removed some of the bigger AC vents in place of these knobs here to control some of the air. They still give you the bigger ones on the sides, which is great. BMW did start incorporating more lighting into here as well. Particularly, you can see this nice touch right there. Just really makes the car look more modern and up with the times. Okay, now for one of my least favorite things about this interior is that BMW on this X-Line package kept, the steering wheel that they've been using just for years and years on here. This steering wheel is honestly out of BMW's a decade prior. I don't know, with so many great updates in here, why they decide to keep this kind of, semi-ugly steering wheel in here. To get the nicer one, you do have to move up to the M Sport package. You do get a much sportier wheel in here. It feels overall good to the touch. It just doesn't look that modern in this car. Also, additionally, BMW moved to this new stack right here. They got rid of the longer shifter. Now you have a little shift knob here. Overall, the design is cleaner. I prefer to have something taller to rest your hand on. This is okay. This works. It looks good. It cleans up this dash area a little bit, but overall, I didn't mind the previous design one bit at all. I'm happy. BMW still keeps their scroll wheel. All of this feels really good to the touch. All the buttons feel solid. No complaints really with this setup right here. You do have the dual moonroofs right here. You have the big one across your first and second row, and then you actually have an individual one for the third row. You can control all these up front over here, and you can additionally control that smaller third one from the 3-row seat, which is really cool for those passengers to make it seem quite a bit airy in there. As always, BMW's heads-up display in here is just fantastic. Crisp, sharp, shows you the speed limit. It has the navigation in there when you're driving. Really no complaints with that heads-up, and to me, it's a must on a car like this. One other important feature of this, I really like that we're back to having the Harman Kardon option available for the 23s. It's not the best of sound systems. To me, this is just the absolute minimum requirement that I would like to see on these BMWs. All right, now talking about the new and improved iDrive system in here, I think BMW knocked it out of the park. I love everything from the speedometer, the tachometer, the various displays right here, and how it just seamlessly blends into the rest part of the screen where you have all your other menus. Of course, as we talked about, the physical buttons are now removed. You have all of your AC controls back here for the left seat and the right seat. You have your steering wheel, heater, you have your seat controls, including heated and cooled seats right here, the vent speed. Overall, it's great. It's easy to use. The con is you do have to take your eyes off the road quite a bit more in order to get into this menu and being able to set this up. But overall, it's intuitive, it's easy to use, easy to find what you're looking for. Outside of that, again, it's just standard BMW fare. Here, it's nice. They've always been great at giving you the multiple layout where you can see the map, the navigation, you can see your stereo, and I mean, literally a whole slew of any other features you can want. This car is absolutely loaded with tech. We're not gonna go into much of that on this review. You can see others that describe that, but overall, I think this screen really modernizes the interior of the latest BMWs, and frankly, this is the direction many automakers are going now, to give you everything basically at your fingertips, which is a modern computer that you're looking at. So overall, I like what BMW has done here. It works really well in this X7. It brings it up to modern ages, and I enjoy using and looking at this. All right, guys, moving on to the interior. Before we jump in for the drive and talk about this back seat a little bit, as you can see, very, very roomy here. Same sense of fin leather is extended into the back seat that you have up front. You have all your seat controls here. Very roomy. Again, you climb in here. I mean, it's you know, it's a full-on limo back here. You got the automatic power shades on both windows. One thing BMW did that is very fascinating, they still kept the old AC controls here. So it's not a full touchpad like they moved up in the front, removing all the physical buttons. Here you can actually still control it with actual button clicks on here, which is pretty cool. It's got heated seats back here. You have the bench configuration. Many of these come with captain's chairs. Various people prefer different setups for many reasons. The captain's chairs look great in here, very comfortable as well, but people with smaller children prefer the bench setup because then nothing can fall in between the seats, leaving you for lesser cleanup back here. So pros and cons to both configurations, whichever one you do like better. All right guys, real quick, moving on to the third row. We're going to check it out, show you how this operates, moving the middle row to get back there. Okay, let's see how much space this gives you to be able to get in here. So it actually gives you pretty good space to step over here. You can get in, plant your butt down, lift this guy up. All right, so we're in the third row. Gives you a little bit of room here, not too much. Definitely some little kids can fit in here fairly comfortable. All right, guys, a couple more interesting tidbits back here. One thing you realize sitting in this third row is just how high up the second row is. I mean, the visibility out here is not that great, especially for a passenger who's riding here for some distance. You do get your own little window here, so, you know, it's almost like, you know, sitting coach in on an airplane. So not the worst. Again, little kids can definitely handle it, potentially for a longer journey as well, but not the best of setups. Again, we showed you this roof right here. It is fully operable with a button that's right here as well. So that's really, really cool. And again, you can see all of your AC controls right back there. Let's open this trunk, show you some of the room in here. Obviously, this is a 3-row SUV, very roomy. I like the kick down design here, makes some loading, unloading partially easier if you just want to scooch stuff across. Overall, it's great. No complaints with that. Definitely very roomy, especially with that third row down. Guys, now we're going to transition into the drive and talk about the driving dynamics of this, our favorite part. So let's go. All right, guys, taking this 23 X7 out for a drive. One thing of note is all these X7s come all-wheel drive. There is no rear-wheel drive option like you can get in the X5. So I appreciate that. You really don't need to figure out which way to spec these and which route to go. On this xDrive40i, BMW did increase the horsepower by about 80 horsepower. So I've never driven the previous version, but on here, even with having around 380 horses, honestly, in a car this size, everything just feels a little bit on the laggy side. It doesn't have the immediacy of the V8 one. I've driven several V8s, and that to me is really the engine to pick in here. Now, can you get around in this? Yes, it takes off of a light, you know, just fine. It has a pickup even at speed, but it misses that lunge or something to be able to just propel it forward adequately with the enthusiast kick that you might want in here. Overall though, no complaints. As everybody knows, this is one of BMW's bread and butter engine. We have driven several X5s with that engine, and I feel like it's much better suited to that car than to this one. I would like to see just more oomph in here, and the V8 would be my personal choice. Again, all of these X7s also additionally come on air suspension. The beauty of this air suspension is this car does not feel floaty in any way. It does a marvelous job combining luxury with still giving you a semi-sport feeling where you're not completely numb from the road entirely. So this ride feels amazingly great. The bumps are handled well. This X7 is sitting on 22-inch wheels, and you would never guess the size of these wheels by the way this car rides. This air suspension in here is phenomenal and among one of the best on any car I have driven. The steering is vague. There's really not much to it. This example does not come with what many people recommend as a must for these X7s, which is the dynamic handling package, which also adds the rear wheel steering. So something like the turning radius in here for a car this large is absolutely atrocious. It's not its standout point. If you have a couple more bucks to spend on the order of $2,000 to $3,000, I would highly recommend also getting that dynamic handling package in order to have the rear wheel steering. Overall, if most of your driving is just in a straight line, you're not doing many turns, you're not yearning for that enthusiast feel, this standard ride is perfectly fine as well. This car feels solid on the road. All the inputs, all the buttons, every input in here feels solid like a BMW should. The one thing I must add, with the 6-cylinder engine, this front end does feel on the lighter side. Comparing this almost back to back with the V8 we drove recently, that car sits on the road and rides with just a heftier feel. Just you feel like the car just has more presence on the road once you're driving. But if you like a lighter feel to your front end and you don't want all that weight over your front wheels, the 6-cylinder might be the correct choice for you. Also adding in the extra fuel economy savings that you're going to get in this car. The ride quality is absolutely phenomenal in here. Very close to a limo-like state. There's absolutely zero road noise coming in from the tires at all, even them being on 22-inch wheels. But the insulation in this car is absolutely fantastic. Some people complain about some extra wind noise or whatnot. I don't hear anything like this in this car, and just even sitting through busy intersections, it is absolutely whisper silent in here, as it should be in a car of this magnitude. All right, guys, moving into our favorite part of this, the likes and dislikes. We're going to cover our 3 likes. Number 1 like, I like the interior. I like what BMW did to modernize the recent interiors on their X line models. The X7, this is moving into the X5 then next. Overall, the screen, the infotainment is absolutely fantastic. It makes me feel like I'm in 2023. Now, number 2 like, I like the way this car rides. With the air suspension, it is not overly floaty. You can raise and lower the car. You actually have individual controls here for that. With these 22-inch wheels that look fantastic on this car floats down the road with ease. The whole car, even given its size, is overall very easy to drive. There's not a single action or motion that upsets you in any way. BMW really infused luxury very well into a car that still gives you an edge of sport. It still carries the BMW feel throughout its chassis. Overall, it feels great. Number 3 like, I'm overall a huge fan of how these X7s look. From almost any angle, this car to me is fantastic. The front leaves some to be desired, especially for me, but from the back, from the side, from almost any angle, this is a good looking car. BMW, I feel like, really nailed this, didn't give this a lot of weird quirks or angles, and overall, it just works for me. All right, moving into my 3 dislikes. My number 1 dislike is the lack of enthusiast feel in this car. Again, we know this isn't a sports car. This isn't, this isn't even a sedan on the BMW front, but it feels like this particular setup feels vanilla to me. It feels like a great rental that you just take with your family cross country. Would I be amped up to hop into this specific model in the morning? Each morning? Probably not. But hey, it gets the job done. It's still buttery smooth, and it'll get you from A to B in great comfort. My number 2 dislike is the lack of power in here. It has the 6-cylinder inline engine. Is the engine buttery smooth? Yeah, but I wanted to deliver just more of a kick in the butt. It gets up and goes at almost any speed, and it's almost refined to the point of taking all the feel out of the engine. So that to me is something I would wish more that the V8, the 8-cylinder versions provide in here for sure. And number 3, I mean, it's really nitpicking, just a couple of the points on this specific model. I don't like the beige headliner. I don't like the steering wheel, and I'm not a fan of the front, although it's slowly growing on me. So with that said, this wraps up this review of the 23 X7 xDrive40i. If you have any questions, comments, drop them down below. We'll be happy to answer them, share with you everything we think. We've driven a lot of other SUVs, and we have a good comparison now of how this car stacks up. See you next time on the desert road.